JoeBucsFan.com joining us on the Nick Wise Show. What's up, Steve? How are you?
I am doing great, Nick. 3 more days. How you doing?
3 more days, and we get a special draft show out of the Joe Bucs crew, Joe Bucs fan crew. That's going to be at 6 o'clock Thursday night before Bucs Radio takes over at 7 o'clock. The draft time, always a busy time of year for you, I'm sure. When it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they don't like their options on defense at pick 15, I've been talking about this a lot the last couple of days. Is there a chance they could go offense in round number 1?
A chance, sure. I really don't see it. Now, I'm the person, maybe the one guy who was saying last year in March, in February, don't rule out them drafting a receiver. It makes all the sense in the world. But this year, I think there's also some ego involved where the Buccaneers, if you remember at the Combine, Todd Bowles threw Josh Grizzard totally under the bus. Said that he was 2 or 3 years away from being a ready offensive coordinator. They like the offense as it is. They just paid K-Dot, and they believe he can stretch the field. We've seen that before in spurts, especially 2 years ago when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were out. And I think the Bucs really want to see what they have and let the many weapons that they have with an excellent offensive line do their thing. And I think some of the ego involved is, hey, you know what? We can win without Mike Evans on this offense, and we're just fine, and let's load up on the defense. Because remember, ownership invested and kind of spit in the fans' faces. They invested heavily in Todd Bowles. They said, sorry, we're sticking with this guy even if you want him out. And I think they want to give Todd the tools on defense so he can prove himself. I think there's some of that going on.
You know, it's kind of crazy. I saw the graphic over the weekend out of the entire 2022 coaching carousel. The only ones that haven't been fired are Kevin O'Connell and, of course, Todd Bowles here in Tampa Bay, despite the fans wanting them out. All right, so talking to Steve Isbitts, JoeBucsFan.com, about the Buccaneers and the draft coming up on Thursday. So you think it's going to be defense no matter what? You don't think that Jason Light is probably thinking best player available? You think they're thinking best defensive player available no matter what?
If I'm really straightforward, yeah. Yeah, I really do. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not, that they don't believe in Sadiq and they don't think he's sexy and that he could play some X receiver if they had to. But there are other good tight ends in this draft, and they believe they have a good tight end. And one thing that is worth keeping in mind, Jason Light himself has said many times in past years, especially before last year, that he believes Payne Durham is a legitimate red zone threat and that he hasn't been used enough. And they had high hopes for him going into last season, and then they threw him the ball 4 times. And I think a lot of that comes back to Grizzard. A lot of this draft is going to come, that first-round decision is going to come down to how much does the organization really blame on Josh Grizzard.
It feels like they blame everything on Josh Grizzard. I mean,
he's a fun punching bag, A 35-year-old didn't know what he was doing. It's okay.
I mean, how they draft, it's coming, based on Josh Grizzard. And what about the offensive line? You got the kid out of Penn State. I heard you guys talking about it this weekend, and I was talking about it all last week. Any chance they upgrade left guard over Bredesen, or you think it's Bredeson's job going into next season?
Oh, I think it's Bredeson's job, but I think 4th round is probably where you're going to see them do that because Jason Light has never gone back-to-back drafts without taking an offensive lineman, and he did not take one last year. And the guy he took before that didn't pan out in Elijah Klein. So classic Light would be late 3rd round, 4th round guy. Jake Slaughter out of Florida, he might be a guy, 2-year captain. He seems like a Light kind of guy. Can he play guard? That's unclear, but he played center for the Gators. And you've got some other real Light guys out there. Fabechi Wiwu out of Oklahoma has played. Light loves interior linemen who played tackle. He's one of those guys. And there's a guy out of Boise State, Cage Casey, who you could be looking at, a big tackle, left tackle, 3 seasons. He'd have great intel from Dirk Cutter, who was coaching out there, 6'6", 310, and he's a guy they're projecting inside. So I think it's going to be later in the draft.
Interesting you didn't mention any D2 offensive linemen. We know Jason Light likes those smaller school guys. The Giants traded Dexter Lawrence over the weekend, and Cincinnati gives up the 10th overall pick. Now, if you think the Buccaneers are locked in on going defense in round number 1, which you do, would you say this was a good move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because I kind of get the feeling that the Giants will go defense at pick number 5, and at pick 10, they're going to go offense, where Cincinnati was definitely going to take a defensive player. Do you think that leaves an extra defenseman on the board?
Probably. But the Giants, it's hard to figure out because you don't really know John Harbaugh's vision of building the team. So I could see the Giants making another trade or two. I think it makes them more susceptible to that since they have that extra pick. So I think it's more of a wild card, but I agree with your whole premise, though, for sure.
Steve Isbitts, JoeBucsFan.com joining us. We're talking about the Buccaneers draft on the Nick Wise Show, plus Joe Bucs Fan Show, going to be on Thursday on draft night. 6 o'clock is when our draft coverage will begin. I feel like the player that everybody loves this year, last year it was Mike Green. Everybody fell in love with Mike Green out of Marshall. I can't imagine a lot of people watched a lot of Marshall football and were really familiar with this game. Jacob Rodriguez seems to be the Mike Green of this year. Like, everybody loves this guy. There's no way the Buccaneers go with him at pick 15, right? Like, this guy's got a day 2 grade. Do you think the Buccaneers would risk it and really reach on somebody at pick 15 like a Jacob Rodriguez?
Oh, I think there's absolutely no chance. Jason Light, and, I've been around Jason since he got here, and, socially, otherwise, I read him pretty well, and he's very honest when he's talking about a desire to trade down. And I think that comes back to he doesn't want to have to reach for one of these middle linebackers, inside linebackers in the second round. And he may have to do that with his current pick if he doesn't get another one. But I don't see there's any chance that they go for him in the first round. Second round, C.J. Allen, Jacob Rodriguez, Anthony Hill maybe. Bottom line, I think that Rodriguez, though, compares very closely with Carson Schlesinger, who was the Defensive Rookie of the Year last year for the Browns, a guy they took top of round 2. Rondé Barber last year, Mr. Insider, tight with the Bucs, even if they get annoyed with the stuff he says. He was out there right before the draft saying he thought the Bucs would target Schlesinger and that he was their kind of guy. So Rodriguez fits, but I don't think they're going to reach to get him. Jason Light clings to those picks like you and I do to a beer on a hot Sunday.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what Mel Kiper or Todd McShay, whatever, someone's given, like, the PR on Jacob Rodriguez is very good right now. Everyone's talking about him, and he just seems to be the guy every fan is obsessed with at the moment. You talked about, Jacob Rodriguez is the type of guy Jason Light would like to draft, just not in round number 1. What about Ruben Bain? If there's any chance that he falls to 15, there was a hit piece that came out on him last week, essentially, and that's kind of what I call it, because it was news that every NFL team already had. Is Ruben Bain a guy that the Buccaneers would avoid because of some of the off-field stuff, or do you think they would take a chance on a guy like Ruben Bain?
It really comes, I think they would take a chance, but it comes back to the interview. I mean, for all we know, Bain is saying, this was the greatest learning experience of my life, and here are 6 things that I've done because of this. And we don't, it could be a positive, as crazy as that sounds, how the guy responded to it if it was really just an accident. So I don't think they would hesitate if it was really just an accident. Jason Light knows he's drafted plenty of immature players before that needed a year to straighten out and produced very well. But do they like Mesidor more, who's got an incredible story, who can rush inside and outside, who dropped 20 pounds when asked and was a terror on the edge? I'm not sure exactly how they necessarily evaluate these guys, because every year there's edge guys and interior guys that are not exactly evaluated by the mock drafters as the coaches actually do.
Are you worried about Mesidor at all in his age? Because I'm not. I know he played 6 years of college ball, but to me, he's somebody that can come in right away and probably be an impact on this defense. And I don't know there's many guys in the draft that can do that in year number 1.
No, I'm not worried about the age at all. I mean, the age consideration really is, will we get a second contract out of this guy? And I don't think that's the Bucs' collective mindset with the team right now. Plus, we've dealt with COVID players coming out older over the past couple of years, so 25 isn't as old as it was 8 years ago. I don't think there's any issue with that at all.
Nobody, talking to Steve Isbitts, JoeBucsFan.com, nobody likes the 15th pick. Would you rather the Buccaneers trade up, or would you rather them trade back?
Light's good with the draft picks. That's where the foundation of this team. So I'd love to see him trade back. I mean, what they pulled off with Vita Vea in 2018 that set the groundwork for the Super Bowl team where they had the 3 second-round picks. And with those picks, I'm pretty sure, double check, but they got Ronald Jones, who was a key contributor in 2020, and Carlton Davis with the trade down. MJ Stewart was the 3rd second-round pick, didn't work out too well, but those guys, can pick starters in the second round when it's not Chris Braswell.
Steve Isbitts, Joe Bucs Fan Show, right here on WDAE, JoeBucsFan.com. I'll get you out on this one, Steve. Your dream scenario for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 15 is Roger Goodell coming out and announcing the name of who?
Dream scenario. Oh, man, I dare to dream. Well, damn it. You know what? They can I trade up? Am I allowed to trade up?
Yeah, you can trade up. If your dream is them trading up, yeah, go ahead.
Let's find a way to get Sonny Styles. You want to be special. You want to win. You want to be dynamic. You want a superstar. Cough up the picks light and get it done.
Steve Isbitts, JoeBucsFan.com. Steve, thank you for your time this afternoon. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah, we'll have some fun Thursday night for sure. Thanks, Nick.
All right, Steve, we'll talk soon. Joe Bucs Fan Show right here on WDA. You're going to hear them Thursday night. They'll get your draft coverage started at 6 o'clock on Thursday as we get ready for round number 1 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft.